I'm Rhiannon Wright, and I'm doing my seminar presentation on the second half, or pages 89 through 196, of Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. So this book is about a place called Cannery Row, which is in Monterey Bay, California. It's a real place. You could visit it now if you wanted to. It follows a bunch of groups of people, Mac and the boys, Lee Chong, the Chinese grocer, Doc, the kind of the saint of the group, I would say, a prostitute house, and a bunch of things like that. It's really an interesting book, and I hope you all read it. So some biographical information on John Steinbeck. He was born 30 miles away from Cannery Row in Salinas, California in 1902. He graduated from Salinas High School in 1919, and he went to Stanford University after that. He lived in Pacific Grove, which is right next to Cannery Row in Monterey. His best friend was a man named Ed Ricketts. So the reason I'm mentioning Ed Ricketts is he's super important to Cannery Row and why it's written. So Ricketts was a marine biologist who ran the Pacific Biological Laboratory on Cannery Row. This is real life. Steinbeck would often go with Ricketts on his adventures. Ricketts would catch animals, marine animals, and preserve them. So the character of Doc in this book is actually modeled after Ed Ricketts. Steinbeck also dedicates this book to Ricketts. In the first page he says, "For Ed Ricketts, who knows why or should." So it's really kind of just I would say almost a commemoration maybe of his friend. He's shown as a saint-like figure on the row, as I mentioned before. He's the guy everyone comes to if they have an issue. He's the one that people borrow money from. He's not a doctor, but they consider him as such. So some historical context. Steinbeck grew up in the area of in that area of California. So his strong personal attachment really influences his writing. Most of his stories are actually written around the Monterey, Salinas area. Cannery Row is set after the Great Depression and World War II. So just to kind of get where that is, America is in financial distress. You know, they're not really out at a place where everyone has a job, makes a good income. A lot of his other works are set in this area. You know, books like Tortilla Flat, Of Mice and Men, Grapes of Wrath are also not only set during this time, but they're also set in this area. His MO is really to write in California because that's where he's familiar with. A lot of his books are set during the Great Depression, like The Grapes of Wrath. Anyway, so the book kind of from this point, from 89 to 196, if you've read the first half, you'll know that, you'll kind of get background on all the people. That's where you basically learn about the people on Cannery Row. Where we start is the boys, Mac and the boys, frog hunting for Doc, and they get a dog during this trip from a nice property owner, and the whole idea behind this frog hunt is they want to throw this big party for Doc to show that they care and that they are so thankful for him and everything he does. So that's kind of the idea behind this, is they're trying to show Doc their appreciation. They want to throw a party for him. So there's a big lead up to this. They get all these frogs. They ask Lee Chong for steaks and alcohol and all sorts of stuff. And so they throw this party and they destroy Doc's lab. Doc is furious. He ends up getting in a small fight with Mac and, busts his lip and stuff. But Doc, he's a compassionate man, so he eventually forgives them, and he's, compassionate. So Mac and the boys are distraught, and they are so torn up over what they've done. So with the help of the whorehouse owner, and a few of the other Cannery Row people, they decide to throw a birthday party for Doc. And Doc locks all his stuff up, all of his valuables, so his stuff doesn't get broken and destroyed again. And they have a birthday party for him, and they make him a quilt, and they give him, cats, because, he collects and preserves these things, so they give him cats. And it's a it's a big thing, and they end up giving Doc a nice party after they destroy his place after the first one. So my response and thoughts on Cannery Row is it really doesn't. I really liked it, actually. It doesn't follow a normal plot, really. It more follows the different lives and the actions of what is happening to the people on Cannery Row. It follows the same trend because there's some short chapters where there's just little blurbs about different people on the row. Henry, who lives in a boat and can never keep a wife, or it just follows different people like that. So you get to learn about different people and how their lives look on the row. And the story really idealizes the values of the lower class, the love and the friendship and the generosity that they have to work with when they are so poor. It really idealizes that that kind of generosity that they do. And while a lot of the different characters, they find it in their heart, even though they don't have anything, to just give. They're giving people. Lee Chong, helped and gave gifts to Doc because even though he's a tight purse little guy who doesn't like spending money, he was like, when my wife needed a tooth medicine, Doc got it for me. So it really does idealize that. And the story doesn't sugarcoat anything at all of the harshness of life. There's suicides, and Doc finds a dead girl, and there's a retarded boy who gets taken away. This little boy tries to steal something for Doc because he loves Doc, and he gets taken to a mental institution. It's trying to show that their life at this time is not easy. A lot of people are really poor, and it's a harsh life. But even though it is a work of fiction, I think Steinbeck is trying to show that this is what was really happening during this time. There were people dying. There were people who were committing suicides because they couldn't pay their bills or feed their families. So I think that's a really important thing that Steinbeck shows, because I think today we can really learn a lot from that. And Cannery Row is also kind of an analysis of the human condition. Steinbeck is trying to show the positives on all levels of humanity. So, even from the rich to the poor, people can still do good things for one another. It shouldn't be an excuse that I have no money. We're still finding ways to do nice things. And I really thought it was interesting how Doc, even after the boys trashed his lab, he said this about them, and I thought it was a super interesting thing, and it kind of ties in with the whole finding positive on all levels of humanity. So it says on page 143, it has always seemed strange to me, said Doc. The thing we admire in men, kindness and generosity, openness, honesty, and understanding, and feeling are often the contaminants of failure in our system. And those traits we detest, sharpness, greed, acquisitiveness, meanness, egotism, and self-interest, are the traits of success. And while men admire the qualities of the first, they love the product of the second. So Steinbeck is trying to show that we as humanity often like the second traits. They get us where we want to go, but we value what is the first. And he was trying to say in that quote that Mac and the boys, they were the first. They were kind, and they were generous, and they were everything that humanity wants, even if they didn't have the money to do it. So thank you, and I hope you guys enjoy Cannery Row, and I hope this was helpful. Bye.